of this was live at the BMO Training Ground.
Live at the BMOT?
It's the Vocal Minority Podcast. I know, right? I feel like it was fancy.
Very fancy.
So fancy.
We fancy now.
Raise your voice.
When haven't we been fancy?
That's true. That's true. But now more people will know that we're fancy.
Oh yeah. Now this is black tie podcasting. Let's just
kind of. Yeah.
Right
I feel like this was like maybe a little bit of like our debutante ball sort of thing. Cotillion. I don't know. Do we still do that?
Yeah. I was gonna quinceañera. Nah.
Ooh.
Well, it's been almost that long. So I mean,
Me
really,
gusta. Sí. All right. Well, welcome to this week's episode of the Vocal Minority Podcast, the podcast that would like a faster way to get to the BMOT G. Because damn, transit is not your friend. On this week's show, it's a shorter show here, folks, but we are going to talk about a signing, a couple legends retire from the international game. We had an illuminating interview. We're going to talk legend. Exactly. We're going to talk some V Cup.
So legends.
We're gonna ponder the unofficially official signing and have a brief look ahead to the She Believes Cup and probably more. And now this week's panel, the kit nerdiest of all kit nerds, Mr. Mark Hinckley.
Guilty. It's true. I have a problem and I share it with you all. And some of you like me more for it, and some of you endure me more for it. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Tony and Duncan have been locked into a secure facility for this week. So yeah, they won't be here.
Apparently the threats of ending the show will get you locked up, which is why I am compliant every week.
Good job.
So I don't have a lesson to learn because I understand, and fear is a motivator.
Hey, those carrots aren't going to throw themselves. I just had to have them in the room, and look how well they worked.
This is true.
As for me, I remain Justin Morrow's number one fan. Not in a scary stalker way. Let's just make that clear.
Yet.
I am your host, Kristin Knowles, and now to this week's show. All right, first up, it is, of course, what's been going on. And the big news of the day for TFC is the official signing, announcement, all those good things of our brand new superstar, number one goalkeeper, Mr. Sean Johnson, late of the Pizza Rats.
Wow.
Welcome, Sean. Welcome to a real football pitch, to a real football stadium. And I've taken transit in this city for 30 years. I've yet to see one, a rat, two, a rat with pizza. There's just really adorable little subway mice.
True.
So you're good. They're cute. They're fuzzy and they stay far away.
It's true.
So you should be solid.
Let's not rule out a bat with a patty. That could be a thing.
Ooh,
that's kind of dark down.
Bat with a pat. Yep.
But yeah, that's way better in almost all facets. Their subways could be better, but then we give it with the exchange of rodentry.
Exactly.
Yeah. Welcome, sir. Welcome.
This is such I am really excited about this. And again, as much as I love Q, and I do, and I miss him, I wish he was still here as backup keeper or keeper mentor, whatever, but he's not. So we move on. Sean Johnson's a better keeper. And with the development in the defense, some new signings, one allegedly in the works, or basically done, just not announced. This can only be a good thing. So we've got a veteran MLS keeper, one who is used to winning things, who keeps clean sheets, who is good at stopping penalties. In that sense, he's very much like Q. So we haven't lost anything there. We've gained one of the better ones in the league for that. Is there a stat on his
line staying? Because
You know what?
I mean,
I haven't looked.
I'm sure Opt has got the stats that say our departed former number one keeper was by far and away the worst defender.
Absolutely.
So
Actually,
anybody, really anyone, would be a better stay on your line type of guy. So anyway, yeah, this is exciting. It's exciting
yeah.
it's exciting just to have, like, all due respect to Alex Bono, for real. He had an opportunity, shone like the sun, legitimately earned that number one spot, guided us from the back to nearly the promised land of the World Club Cup, which if we had made it, we were going to win that. And then it just, I realize it's not all his fault, but like, even his game started to take a turn. So outstanding keeper when he was in it and had the support around him. But I feel like he needed a fresh start somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, like genuinely that would be good for him, because PTSD is real. And it doesn't matter who's in front of you. If you've seen some stuff, you've seen some stuff. Sean Johnson, on the other hand, is phenomenal, elite even, and with everything being fresh from the back, at least some of it, but enough of it,
Yeah.
the important parts. This is a super welcome.
Well, and I think that's a big part of it. Yeah, like the refresh that is desperately needed for a team that has historically been bad defensively. And it's like the Toronto Raptors and not driving the lane and, relying on outside shooting, which is one of the most frustrating things as a basketball fan. It drives me fucking mental, and I hate it so very much. Toronto FC, seemingly regardless, of who is in charge of them, including former Defenders of the Year, Greg, they are very rarely a solid defensive team, which, again, it just baffles me considering who they've had. Now, a lot of it has to do with the game they're asked to play, a lot of attacking, a lot of going forward, a lot of asked from the fullbacks, sometimes over-reliance on aging center backs, or center backs who like to run down the pitch and then try and track back. I think there is a real opportunity with the current signings and the potential other signing to rein a lot of that in. And one of the things, actually, when we were talking about Alex Bono, who, yes, was not always bad. He had the number one spot for a good reason, and he also did have a good defense in front of him, but it works together as a unit. But one of the things that we always had frustration with Alex Bono was his distribution. And he's not good at it. He's just not. The things he's good at. That is not one of them. And Sean Johnson far outshines that. He is actually quite a good distributor of the ball. And this team needs that, because they like to play out the back. They like to start something quick, and you have a keeper that can contribute to that. That was where Q always came in, because Q could distribute the ball really well. He had good feet, he had good vision. Sean Johnson can fill that role, and I think that's a hugely important thing. So yeah, this is great. I am honestly excited to have him as the keeper. This is, I think, a really good signing.
Yeah, it's a shrewd bit of business. I mean, I know we've often campaigned for a certain Bill Hamid, which was not a joke. It really wasn't. Like,
no, we were deadly serious. We love Bill Hamid.
And this isn't me saying, well, this is good enough. It's like, no, he's also excellent. I wanted an excellent keeper. And I'll take either. Genuinely take either. And I also don't feel like there's a wrong answer. So this is just to go back on the ball distribution, of course he's good at ball distribution. He had such fewer acreage to work with that he had to be more accurate.
That's true. I hadn't thought of that.
He has to have laser precision or else he's hit the foul pole. I mean, it's such a dumb fucking ground, MLS. Why? Anyway, we've been over this many times. So the distribution thing is it'll be nice to see somebody who's confidently adept at that, and that this isn't like, that's not also a shot at Q, but if we're gonna have a single starting keeper, let's have it be a guy who also gets to start every game and distributes. So
exactly. Yep. 100%. All right. And then we're going to see, we say officially goodbye to a couple of Canadian soccer legends. One from the men's national team, one from the WNT XNT. So this week, both Aaron McLeod and Toss St. Ricketts retired from international play, with the addition of Toss just retiring from professional soccer altogether. So Aaron McLeod, obviously stalwart of the WNT, the XNT for many, many years. Like, she's someone that, she is a legend, and was with, she was with the team. She started when they won the bronze, and she played and she played and she played basically until she couldn't. It just wasn't going to be, she was either injured, or obviously you had Steph Labbe and you had you had Karina, you had other keepers who were surpassing her in ability and availability. Now, one of the things for Aaron McLeod, other than the fact, she just got married. Congratulations, Aaron. Very happy for you. And she and her wife, Gani John Dottor, have left the NWSL, and they're actually going to go play in Iceland for a season.
That is so fucking romantic.
I know, right? They literally got married, left NWSL, and are going off to Iceland to play for a season.
Do we know which club? Did it become our favorite team? I hope it's Fjolnir. That's a real name, by the way, everyone. That I did not just make weird Icelandic noises and say, "Hey, look, that's a team." No, that's Fjolnir. They're awesome because for many years they had a pig as a sponsor on their kit.
I actually don't know if the club they're playing for has been announced. Actually,
well, what a coup for the whole.
We will find out. We'll bring it up next week. We'll find out. We'll bring it up next week. Anyway, legend, delightful person, always like with the smile and the energy and the passion. Like, she radiated it. And she's staying really involved in grassroots soccer and local soccer. She also plans to be involved in the new women's league that's coming here in Canada with Diana Matheson. And so she has a lot of intent looking forward, and you couldn't ask for a better person to be involved in this because of her commitment, because of her interest in the sport and advancing the sport and equality and everything. It's great.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Aaron. We will miss you. And then Toss, who we adore and is one of our all-time favorite players, Mark's and mine.
Yes.
And who had such an interesting career around the world, but playing in MLS, beloved at TFC, but equally, if not more beloved at the Whitecaps. Like, he embraced that team and they embraced him.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird because I feel like we saw most of to St. Ricketts off the bench rather than start, which for the tools that he kind of often displayed, like in even playing for Canada, where it's like, if you need a ridiculous burst of speed,
and just like someone who's going to get in the box, and harass and frustrate
it was just
the defenders. Like he was just a pest. It was great.
Yeah, he was definitely like a player you did not want to see come on the pitch in like the 82nd minute. Cause like you're hurting and it's like, oh shit, and he's
this guy.
fast.
Damn
And
it.
it's like you could see him terrorizing people. You would see him leave people just in the absolute dust.
Oh yeah.
And
it was
I mean that
delightful.
like not to say that he shouldn't have started, but that is a boss ass move to use off the bench. So unfortunately, like I could see how he would end up that way, but it's strange. And I don't fully understand why. I do picture him in a Whitecaps kit more than a TFC kit. And I think that's just because the last images I saw of him were in a Vancouver Whitecaps kit. And that's not to diminish his contribution to Toronto because
I think but that's fairly accurate. Like obviously, like one of the great things for me, or the happiest things for me, is that he was here during the glory years for Toronto FC. So he was part of it all, you know, the treble year and when everything was on its ascendancy, and you know, he had those like legendary super sub appearances, the brace against, was it against Columbus? Yeah. Like just so much fun. And then, but brought similar to the men's national team, contributing to World Cup qualifying, contributing in the Gold Cup more than once, just again, delightful. And if you've ever had a chance to meet him, he is such a nice person and so like interesting to chat with. And what we're getting to see, and this is the evolution of to St. Ricketts, he's staying on with the Whitecaps in you know, as one of those player engagement people, right? But you know he's got the passion, he's also got his degree and stuff, so this isn't the stop, you know, this is only the beginning for him. But during the World Cup, he proved what an exceptional broadcaster he is going to be if he wants that as a career. Mm-hmm. Because after like his first match, where clearly a little nervous, a little shaky, man, he and Janine Becky were so delightful.
He's kind of got it. Like it's like watching, it's like a diamond that needs polish.
Yes.
You know, you could see that he's got the charisma and he's got the delivery to really like, shall we say, fit a television mold. And he just needs experience. And I mean, what a hell of a first real gig is the World Cup. I mean, that's tough. Like that's trial by fire. Okay. That ain't working at your local cable network and cutting your teeth. That's just, and I really felt like he had a lot to offer. I felt like once he shook the nerves and really started to understand, like you could see market improvement from the first time and the second time to like the last time. It's like he was starting to find comfort. And once you find comfort, it's kind of feels like, well, he's ready. He's got it. So I think he's a great fit. I think he's a great fit for television commentating. I would like to see him do I'd be curious to see how he would play the role of color man. Like
agreed.
Because he's got that, again, he's got a presence and he's got a voice, and I think he could do that as well as a panelist. He's also an excellent panelist. So I hope this is a nice little lucrative new career for him.
Agreed. I really think there's a lot to come from him for that. Really exciting. Really exciting to see that. And again, thank you to Toss for everything you did for your club teams, for, you know, coming back and contributing to Canadian soccer after having been one of those players who was exiled out into the wilderness, who ran into problem after problem in terms of getting paid. Like he was one of those players that was getting screwed over left, right, and center while playing, you know, trying to like play the game you love, but who stuck it out and came back and managed to find, not one, but two places to fall and to fall nicely. Just anyways, it's great. I think he's a great servant for Canadian soccer. And I think he's going to be just one of those people that we pay so much attention to going forward in a number of arenas. I can see big things coming from him in the future. And I hope that's true because he's delightful.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, what are we talking about / who are we talking to? So much to discuss in this segment, but well, there's three things really. The main thing, well, they're all kind of main things, but the CanPL schedule was released the other day.
Yes, it was.
And this is exciting mostly because, well, two reasons. One, it's a balanced schedule. Huzzah. So nice.
But it's apparently so difficult for other leagues, but whatever.
They just don't care. But also how early it's been released. This is wonderful. This is something that CanPL fans have been calling for. And as this league grows and matures, like this is what you want to see. You want to see that nice early schedule announcement. It allows teams to plan, it allows fans to plan, and it shows you're not half-assing it. Like every other league announces their schedule 2 to 3 months ahead of the start of the season. And CanPL wasn't doing that. And fans were pissed, and rightfully so, I think. So we have kind of like our first, well, I won't say post-pandemic because we're still in a pandemic, but sort of attempt at being normal year coming up for like everything. And again, a balanced schedule, new team in the league. Yeah, it's exciting. Now I know, Mark, you had some thoughts on the schedule.
Oh yeah. So like so as regular listeners know, I'm a season's ticket for both Toronto FC and for Hamilton Forge. It hurts less to say that, but the Forge part. But yeah, anyway. So I have a vested interest in the schedules insofar as how they clash. So for those of you who are interested in this, Toronto and Hamilton have 3 same-day games, 2 of which are overlapping. Like one kicks off at 7, one kicks off at 7:30, which I feel is less than previous seasons, but 3 is still 3. The only one that doesn't overlap, that have the games are on the same day, is Forge's home opener is at 4 p.m. and Toronto is at home to Atlanta for 7:30. Or is it all the kickoff? Is it 7:30 the kickoffs or 7?
Yeah, that's I think 7:30. They're all at the same time for pretty much almost every match for the entire season.
So,
which is weird.
I've got pre-approval, and it's subject to change, but the missus and I, Kittner wifey, we might try and do the double. So it's a lot of footy, but it's fun.
That's Hamilton's home opener, you say?
Hamilton home opener at 4, and then
who are they hosting again?
They are playing Pony Boys. The Cavs.
Morgan's
Chivalry.
Interesting.
But anyway, so I mean, so that's the thing. And if anyone had any delusions of grandeur of watching, say, I don't know, Hamilton and York the same day, like I did a Maniac one time, I think in the first season, April 22nd is your only opportunity. York is hosting Vancouver at 1, and Hamilton's hosting Halifax at 4, which is super, super close. The time I did it, the second game was at 5, so there was plenty of time. I don't need to rush. got parking, and also it was kind of a slightly humid, drizzly day, so it helped keep people. Well, not at York, nobody goes. But as far as like getting parking around Hamilton, Tim Hortons Field, that kind of aided the whole thing. So that was a full day. My God, I don't know how I didn't overdose from it. So the other thing I looked up because I was kind of curious, and that was, is the league loading up any particular cities during the Leagues Cup between July 21st and August 19th? Okay.
Go on.
Here's what I've discovered, and I really don't. It's not as conspiratorial as I was hoping it was going to be. In fact, one of them is kind of like, that's the opposite of what you want. Vancouver, Langley, Vancouver, has placed 5 games during that calendar spread, 3 of which are at home. Okay. So Hamilton, exact same. 5 games during that stretch, 3 are at home. York.
I was going to say, what about the YU guys?
York plays 1 game at home during that entire stretch.
Boo.
And there's 4 games, let's say 4 games, air quotes, because the 5th game is on August 20th, which is the day after that time frame, and they're also away.
Man.
So I don't want to say it's a missed opportunity, but they announced the dates way in advance, guys. Way in advance.
Yeah,
and that summer holidays, guys, what are you like? Are the Toronto Arrows still a thing? Did they book up the whole? Anyway, never mind. I'm not going to get into rugby. Okay, that's not it. And also, while this is a stretch, because I know they're really, really far apart, but just for shiggles, I looked up Pacific, 2 games at home during the 5 during the 5 games during that stretch. So, yeah. So I feel like there's some opportunities that kind of would. I don't want to say they're missed. Like there's a bunch because for those of you who aren't aware, York United play a lot of their games not on Saturday, and I say that specifically not on Saturday because they play a lot of Fridays and a few Sundays.
Yeah.
So if you were the insane type who wants to come into town and do football tourism, holy crap, you have opportunities. There's plenty of games. There's plenty of weekends where you can get York Hamilton, like Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday. York TFC, same thing, Friday, Saturday. But unfortunately, there isn't a York Hamilton Toronto triumvirate, which would have been dope as.
Oh, that's too bad. That would have been cool. I would have tried to do that.
I probably would have gone for that.
Yeah, for sure.
But even just the whole I'm going to do both games in a day. I don't know who needs to hear this, but can you try? Obviously this year's a wash, but if there's a chance that you could make one of those kickoffs at 5 o'clock, and I realize that this is, subject to One Soccer's needs, but if you could add an extra hour, either make the 1 o'clock game at noon or make the 4 o'clock game at 5, I'm buying an extra ticket, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
I will go to York for the other game because that's stupid fun. And honestly, it seems antithesis to club culture, supporters culture and football, but think of it just as a day out, a caravan of one group of idiots going from one game to the other just because they could. And I am totally in that target audience who would I am looking at York United games to go to, but I would like to make more of a day of it than just going all the way out to York University in North York and then come back. So something to think about,
something to ponder
again, which I've asked for every year. But that's so anyway, that's kind of the breakdown that I kind of.
That's I love that. One thing I did notice, the opening weekend. So the opening match for the season is a standalone. It's on the 14th. And it's Aquaman hosting VFC.
The Space Penises.
Space Penises. And So that's great. The other 3 matches are all either, 2 matches on Saturday, 1 match on Sunday, all in Ontario. They're all Ontario-based matches, which I just found really interesting. It's all like all the Ontario teams are hosting the first weekend.
Good shout. I mean, not a good shout if the point you're making for that's embarrassing. But
no, I don't know if I think either way. I just thought it was really interesting when I noticed it. I was like, wait a second. So everything, oh, okay. All right, so moving on from that, but also related to some CanPL teams, well, all of the CanPL teams, the Voyageurs Cup draw, which was last night. Speaking of Toussaint Ricketts, he was involved in that. Very exciting. And we have, again, we're very excited. We're always very excited about the Voyageurs Cup, but we're more excited because there's more teams and so much. It just grows. It's so good. So here are the breakdowns for the first round. And well, we'll talk about it in a moment. Okay, so we've got the Rovers, yay, Rovers, versus the Peggers, Grey Mice, Aquaman hosting the Pony Boys, the YU guys hosting the Space Penises. That's the Western bracket. And yes, you're like, but wait a second, York isn't Western. No, but one of the Eastern teams had to be drawn into the West. That's just the way this all shuffled out. Eastern bracket, so Hamilton versus Laval. Excited about that one, actually. The Wanderers versus Atleti, and Snowflakes, or whatever we're calling them these days, waiting for them to change their logo again, versus Vaughan. So the main thing about that last one that I just do want to bring up is that Vaughan, I'm very excited for you to be part of this. You're probably going to lose.
You're going to lose.
Sorry.
There's no probably. That's.
Yeah, I know.
It's
such a.
There
even
was
with
never,
all of I know.
There was never a good draw, but that's really not a good draw. That's super ungood draw.
I know. Like it's and even with all of the issues that Montreal has been facing this offseason, it doesn't matter. So, but what this means, because Toronto and the Whitecaps have buys to the quarterfinal, the winner of the Montreal-Vaughan match plays Toronto. So we're getting the Toronto-Montreal match out in the quarters this year, which is either exciting or, oh man, depending on your thoughts on this, or probably even depending on the day. One day you might be excited by it. Another day you might be like, that sucks. Who knows? But just keep that in mind. But also within the similar vein, but still a little bit up in the air. So why you guys hosting the Vancouver Langleys, whoever wins that match goes up against the Whitecaps.
Tasty.
Now, wouldn't that be fun if it was Vancouver versus Vancouver? Like, I really want that to happen, actually, just for the shiggles, just because I think that will be delightful.
I want it to happen because it'll be the first time. Well, okay, regional leagues aside, so pardon, not to get anybody's ire up, but it'll be the first time, at least in the Voyageurs Cup, that two teams having the same name in same city name will play each other.
Exactly.
That York United, just North Toronto. I know there's already North Toronto Nitros or whatever they're called, but just you can lean into North Toronto. You don't have to be York region, whatever. But marketing aside, I love the idea of Vancouver Whitecaps versus Vancouver.
Yeah, me too. 100%.
I genuinely hope that if that match happens, there becomes a small percentage of curious onlookers, there's another team.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Well, the Whitecaps are away, and I've got an aunt who lives in Langley, so maybe we'll check it. You know what I mean? You just you don't have to get 5,000 people. I want there to be
a half and half scarf for that match.
Please.
Vancouver half and half scarf. Come on, please.
But the half and half goes horizontal.
Yes.
Not vertical. like not like Vancouver on one side, Vancouver on the other. It literally just says Vancouver versus Vancouver, and the top half is white and navy blue, and the bottom half is black and white.
That would be
Yeah, that's right. I'm breaking the scarf game. That's what you get when you back my Patreon.
Out of all of that, other than that, out of all of this, I think the most intriguing matchup, and the potential to have a bit of an upset is that Rovers Winnipeg match, because I think the Rovers could win
It's not impossible.
without seeing a full roster for either team, just sort of based on momentum that the Rovers carried into the offseason, that they're carrying into their new season, really coming together as a unit, really being successful. And Winnipeg, good just out the gate last season, and then they fell hard. And there's questions there, right? So I feel like that one, in terms of a match that doesn't involve as much parity, perhaps has the potential for an upset. And I think that's the one. And yeah, obviously I'm a Rovers fan, but so the Voyageurs Cup starts in April. It's going to be great. We love the Voyageurs Cup. Go to matches if you can. It's always, the vibes are different. They just, the players, it's just different. It's like any tournament play. That's why we always love the CCL. Those tournaments, those types of tournaments. It's why the FA Cup is so wildly popular. It's why the US Open Cup is so wildly popular.
Yeah,
it's just different.
I feel like it is super different, and I feel like I realize that the typically I don't want to assume anything, but it always feels like these games are promoted at the minimum, right? It's like, well, we're going to have people, we're going to have two teams here playing, so we may as well at least tell people about it. There's no huge build up to it. There's no, you rarely see it. The game is in May, and you're at the stadium in April, and there could be no mention of that tournament even existing. And I get it, because the league itself is the bread and butter. So fine. Why don't put all of your energy into put some. That being said, the stakes in the game are way more interesting than just playing Kansas City on a Tuesday. And I would take a game with actual stakes as it happens over game against Kansas City on a Tuesday. And I only say it because I really don't like Kansas City. The Sporks. Fucking,
they're so annoying.
They're so annoying. I'm just glad they're not good anymore. Right. So, but the thing is, like every one of these little matchups is kind of tasty. Like even the Bond Montreal one, like basically a bunch of, and I'm assuming, and I'm sure I'm wrong, but like a bunch of college, high school, university students mixed in with a couple of low level lifers at the game, up against a professional outfit, like Sam Payette and Victor Wanyama, and you know what I mean? Like, it's just, but if Vaughn does the business, that's great for football, honestly.
And then it's Vaughan versus Toronto, which would be so cool.
Oh, 100%.
Right.
Give him all the honors. Just do the hat trick. Vaughan wins the V Cup, takes out all three. Honestly, that's some 2017, 2018 Champions League shit.
Yeah.
Where we beat.
Yes.
Toronto beat each one of those Mexican sides. We did. We officially beat each one of them.
Beat them.
Regulation, we won those games.
Exactly. Nothing else counts.
Nothing else matters. Anyway, yeah. Like I if you're listening to us, we're probably preaching to the choir. But encourage those of you who kind of turn their encourage those around you that support the main club, but turn their nose down at this, going, "You're a fool. You're missing probably the most fun game." Because also too, like if you're a Montreal supporter and Vaughan shows up, don't you want to see them just absolutely smash them? Who doesn't like seeing the home team score 9 goals?
Yes.
They won't. But like you can also build that into the back of your head, right? Like same with like AS Blainville last season came to Hamilton.
Yes.
And no disrespect
No
to them, but there were
fear.
no frills. They were
No.
just they were a grinder team that was kind of happy to be here, and they lost, but it wasn't the one-sided ass kicking it should have been.
No, it
In
wasn't.
fact, for swaths of that, Blainville showed up. They showed up to play. They had Hamilton's number for a good 20 minutes, if I remember, not longer.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was like, oh, what is happening?
And then like every halftime, Bobby figures it out and everyone else figures it out. And so on.
Exactly. But still, anyway, it's one of the best things you can watch and enjoy. Please go out. Please support your teams, no matter what level of Canadian soccer they play at. It's delightful fun. Speaking of Canadian soccer.
Go on.
Canada Soccer, it's a quiet, sedate organization. The fans, we're all very polite. There's never any drama surrounding.
I mean, sedate, probably comatose, definitely.
Yeah, right. Like it's a very chill vibe. There's never any arguments or sort of controversy. No, it's all hugs and kisses and butterflies and fuck that. It is never like that. One of the frustrating things about being a Canadian soccer fan is that it always feels like drama, even when we're in the midst of happy times. So the last 24 hours have been interesting. It wasn't even 24 hours. This all got allegedly resolved earlier this afternoon, but we were busy. Late last night, you started seeing things pop up on social media, or you have friends that live in New Zealand who send you articles saying that John Herdman has all but accepted the New Zealand men's national team coaching job. They're just trying to agree on terms. Contracts haven't been signed, but it's almost a done deal. And everyone, especially this morning, because not everyone was up late last night, but this morning, it started to explode. It was everywhere. I lost track of the number of times I saw that article, had it sent to me, had people asking me about it.
Yeah.
Now, Herdman has history with New Zealand. That's where he had his first coaching. He started his coaching career within New Zealand, the U20s to 2 World Cups. He coached the senior women's team at 2 World Cups before leaving to come to Canada and coach the WNT here. His oldest son has represented both Canada and New Zealand at the U20 level. There are deep connections there. However, as all of that was happening in the most hilarious way, earlier this afternoon, Canada Soccer, John Herdman, Canada Soccer, everybody. There was a triple statement. Herdman took to Instagram, but also via Canada Soccer to say, no, this is not the case at all. I've been, when you're successful, you get offered things, recent months, including, I've turned them all down, including an offer from New Zealand, to our players and our fans. I want to say I'm committed to Canada, committed to Canadian soccer, growing the program, World Cup. The World Cup is, we've got a World Cup in 3.5 years. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here. And then Earl Cochran and Nick Montes also had to come in and be like, no, he's ours. Fuck off, the rest of you. He's under contract. He loves it here. He's not leaving. We support him. Blah, blah, blah. It's been very interesting to see sort of what's been happening. And there's been a lot of speculation all day up until the statements, but even with the statements coming out was, if you think back to when Herdman was the coach of the WNT, the XNT, and started making, the rumblings started that he was going to go to England to coach. And then suddenly he was handed the men's national team coaching position. And, a lot of people are trying to put correlations that, he and his people put stories out to put pressure on Canada Soccer to get him the deal he wanted, which was to coach the men's team. And was this the same thing? Was he going back to the well for a similar trick, for lack of trying to apply pressure again to get a good deal out of Canada Soccer over the next 4 years, the next 3.5 years. And, a friend of ours in New Zealand, hi Steph, she was like, oh, I wonder if our media got it wrong. And I was like, I'm like, your media probably just jumped, maybe your media jumped the gun. And then Canada Soccer, put a ring on it, so to speak, and locked him down. And I don't know what's true. I don't know if this was a negotiating deal. I don't know if someone in New Zealand, some reporter was just, took a rumor and decided to run with it. But depending on sort of how you take this stuff, it's like, oh, fuck, it's more drama around Canadian soccer, which we don't need. Like, we just don't. There's so much drama. We're a small country. Like, we're a giant country, but we're a small fucking footy country.
Yeah.
Just
I know. I think what it is that it feels like it's the ire comes from we are finally on the ascendancy and things are looking good. Please don't somebody fuck this up. And honestly, if anyone's going to fuck this up, it's going to be the CSA, because they're really good at doing things that are opposite of what needs to be done. That being said, the paranoia, that sets in. That's legit. Sure. And like the concern. And I mean, when I saw it, it seemed very odd, because it seemed odd because just not to say that the Kiwis can't possibly offer Herdman a better deal, but why would Herdman, like, how much does he love New Zealand that he's willing to literally take a step backwards in a career trajectory that has been going nowhere but forwards since he showed up in New Zealand?
Steadily skyward.
Yeah. Like his next step isn't going to New Zealand. His next step is like a second division. When I say second division, I mean championship, like a second division side in England, or a first division side in France, or Austrian national team coach, like a place where like they've got some ambition and they're willing to try a new thing. And here's a guy that's got a proven track record of getting a lot out of what he's got. And like again, no disrespect to New Zealand, but it ain't you guys, honestly. And if it was, then I'm happy to eat those words and just go, I'm sorry. Look forward to seeing you in 2026. But like that was kind of the paths like this. How is this the thing? And also too, like, how did it come out in New Zealand before it came out here? Like, used to that kind of thing is like, we've agreed to part ways, and then an hour later it's like, we'd like to announce.
Exactly.
That's usually the announcement that you've left comes first, because you get a chance to kind of like tie it in a bow and make it look like you're in control. This is the opposite of that. And while the CSA is the CSA, constantly CSAing things, even that was a step too far for chaos for them. So I'm glad it seems to be either blown out of proportion or completely misunderstood. I do like the plausibility that he was offered a contract by them, but offering a contract and
accepting or almost accepting,
you don't say a damn thing until there's ink.
Yeah, exactly.
So kudos to whoever blew that.
Yeah, or maybe that was someone from New Zealand soccer trying to put pressure on Herdman. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Oh, what if we put it out there that he said he's going to take? Like, it's interesting. I think ultimately. Well, and not everyone will, because it's still lots of people don't agree with Herdman as coach of the men's team. They still don't. They don't see it. They don't see his future with the team or his ability to develop or think on his feet. And I usually like to think that he doesn't. I find with Herdman, he kind of coaches a little bit in cycles, in that he'll have a couple games where he just doesn't get it right and is being stubborn about something. But the next time you see him, that seems to be put behind. And he coaches well for a significantly long streak, and then has whatever a slip up. But like, no coach is infallible. I'm fine with him being the coach of the national team going forward into this next World Cup. If only because of the belief that the players have in him. And that's a huge thing for stuff like this. Like, you don't want blind loyalty. However, you do want commitment, and you do want players to commit to the program and to commit to, 3.5 years down the road, that this is what I'm going to be doing, and to be able to pull in players from, who haven't signed their national intent yet, that can have options. So anyway, I think it's a good thing that he is, by all intents and purposes, locked down.
Agreed. 100%. And that buy-in is even, like, again, psychologically for Canadian players in Canada soccer, more valuable than the results itself, because we've had a hard time, historically speaking. So if he's the one that's, brainwashing them, I'm trying to make it as evil as possible. If he's brainwashing them into play for Canada, then fantastic work, sir.
Yeah, exactly. Can we build you a new layer? Like, what do you need?
Yeah. Do you need acolytes? I can make.
I'll be a henchman. A Herdman
I'm getting
henchman.
a scarf loom. I can brand that, and
Herdman's henchman. Oh,
there's a supporters club. I'm in for this. Herdman's henchmen. We bake muffins. Like, that's we're not evil, but we're like, we pose ourselves as evil, but really it's like, we'll pick up your groceries. Like, that's the extent of our
shovel
sinister.
Your walk.
Oh yeah, we will shovel it so good. We'll
shovel
even bring
the hell out of that walk.
We'll bring our own salt, assholes.
Pet friendly salt. Take that.
Yeah, we're not evil. Piece of shit. Like, we also got to add a badass streak to it, even though what we're doing is good. Because we're trying to build cred. It's like they're friendly, but weirdly rude about things. It's like, yeah, fuck you. That jacket looks nice. Like, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll have to, workshop this more. Things. But I like it. Yeah. I like it.
So today, Marcus and I had ourselves a little adventure. We were up at the BMO G.
Yeah.
BMO Training Ground, for those of you who aren't in the know.
Yeah,
and
it's the BMO G, though.
We were lucky enough to somehow convince Justin Morrow to sit down and have a chat with us.
Cool.
And
gentleman, but I can't believe he fell for it.
I'm sure he regrets it already. But Mark can speak better to this, whether or not I kept any level of fangirling to a minimum. I did. No, I didn't.
No.
You all know how much I love Justin Morrow. The fact that I did not squeal the whole time and hug him, which I did not do, the restraint.
There was definitely inner squealing. Like, I mean, I could hear the torture. I could hear it in, like, from deep within, Kristin. I could hear it. I know it was there.
It was so hard.
Actually, you know what? I was mostly embarrassed for him that he didn't know that you were his biggest fan. I mean, I just thought we'd been putting this into the universe for how long has he been there? Like, honestly, it's a decade. So, like, that's a decade's worth of devotion and
me tagging him on social media. Yeah, exactly. I'm a little disappointed, actually.
He just didn't know.
But he knows now.
Okay. He knows now. He's learned. He's a gentleman. I mean, let's you'll hear it, but he's an absolute gentleman.
He's delightful. Like, if you haven't met Justin Morrow, and you can see in interviews, but if you haven't had the chance to meet him and just have a conversation with him, like,
Yeah.
we would have happily just talked to him for hours.
Yeah.
About whatever he wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
He was so interesting and so thoughtful, and he was just delightful.
And I will say that I feel like we probably could have kept him longer, but because we were granted a limited audience, and I did not want to abuse that on our behalf. But the way it was flowing, I could have just as easily just ignored my watch and let it keep going. But I'm like, I don't want this to be the only time we get access to him. So
exactly.
Let's tie a bow on this, and we'll see if we can sucker him to come back. Exactly. So
anyway, so please enjoy our really great conversation with, I think, a couple of the things that we bring in will surprise you, because it surprised us. So great stuff. Thank you, Justin, so very much for coming on our show. We really appreciated the time.
All right, and let's cut to the clip now.
Before we get really started, are we recording?
Yep, we are
Amazing.
recording.
I do have a question for you before we get into like the you specific questions.
Yeah.
In this room is a very interesting bit of hardware.
I just discovered it too. Yeah.
So the Trillium Cup trophy sits next to us here in this room in which we're doing this interview with you. We personally never cared for the Trillium Cup trophy as a podcast, as fans. Fans.
It was a stretch that
it was as made up as it got.
Yeah. Guys, state provincial flowers is that what we're doing? Put a team in Detroit. It's closer. Come on.
What are your feelings? No longer being a player and competing for.
Well, I probably have
to the people of Ohio.
A unique view on this, being from Ohio.
Okay.
And a little bit of spite for Columbus Crew, because I was in their backyard and they could have had me from a young age. I remember being in high school and being one of the more touted players coming out of high school, and their scouting network coming to look at me, watch my high school games, and I decided, I wasn't for them. And so every time I got a chance to beat them, I took a lot of pride in that.
Oh, no,
that's a theme throughout my career. If you spite me, I'm coming back hard at you.
I love that. That is a great perspective, and I've never heard that perspective before.
Yeah. And also, I kind of like the trophy now.
Yeah, exactly.
And I want to bring it back.
It means something. Damn it, Justin.
Justin Morrow Derby Trophy is what we're
But you know what? We've got a great rivalry with Montreal, so there is no need for fabricated rivals anymore, right?
Well, probable Voyageurs Cup tilt again. Sorry, Vaughn. I'm sorry. Like, good luck. That would be awesome. I wish you all the best. But however, even with all the drama in Montreal right now, which is unfortunate. Okay, so you only recently retired.
Yeah.
From playing. Yeah. And it's very sad. But we understand, but we miss you. I really was. I literally talked about you for 10 minutes at least, that show at the end. I really did. But so one of the things that we really sort of wanted to ask you about was not so much the retiring. Every player retires eventually. You feel like, body just can't do it. You want to transition into other things. You obviously want to stay involved in the sport on a couple different levels, which we're going to ask you about. But you stayed in Toronto.
Yeah.
And that was a surprise. It was a really pleasant surprise. I was thrilled, not just because I'm a fan, but we love to see involved players who, have come to love our city, but have come to want to be part of this process. So when you moved here to play here, did you ever think that when you retired, I'm going to stay in Canada. I'm not going to move back home or be active and involved there. I'm going to do it from up here. What sort of was the process there?
No, it wasn't. It was the opposite of that when I got traded here. The club was in turmoil. December of 2020 or 2013.
That might have been the nicest way. The nicest.
That is the nicest way I think it's ever been.
Didn't have the best rep around.
No, they did not.
Around the league. So I had a down year in San Jose, self-admittedly, but I thought, maybe it could be a club that over the long term had a good project going. Of course, they were the team that gave me my first shot, so I had some loyalty there. And they thought otherwise and traded me to Toronto, and I was really scared. But I had some teammates that had been on Toronto FC, Sam Cronin, Dan Gargan, Alan Gordon, Nana Takora, and all these guys are like, JMO, you are going to love Toronto. You're going to love it. And so I said, all right. And I always dreamed of myself living in a big international city like Toronto. So right from
Bird San Jose.
I moved right downtown and I just started taking in the city, my wife and I. My wife is not American. She's from South America. She's from Paraguay.
Okay.
We met at university.
Nice.
So she loved not being in the United States.
Right.
And I have since come to love that as well. And so over the years, I always say that the club and I have grown together. And, I grew my family here and have 2 beautiful daughters that were born right downtown. And we've just come to love everything about it. And so for us, it's a great place to be, a great place to raise a family and enjoy everything that the club and the city has to offer.
Fantastic. So, congratulations. I understand this is like your 1 year?
1 year anniversary.
Oh, 2 year. 2 year, that's right. Sorry,
well,
I can't do math.
This is my 2nd year not playing. I guess technically 1 year anniversary.
Well, okay. I was looking at the press release and the date.
We're getting into semantics.
Okay. But I heard that the hazing rituals around here for the new guys are kind of brutal. What, if you don't mind, what sort of cruelty have you experienced since joining the front office?
Well, I mean, there's no secret that in football, you move to a new team, you gotta sing.
Oh,
you gotta sing.
What's your jam?
I have escaped that tradition somehow throughout my long career.
Any listeners from Toronto FC?
Thank God, because I have ask my wife, I have a terrible voice.
So there's no secret karaoke footage of you on a night out with the guys?
That does not exist. But there have been some memorable moments, some memorable teammates. I'm not going to out them now, but, if a guy really does have a personality, it comes out on day one when they're singing in front of the team. And for the guys that are always getting up there, especially the young guys, I tell them, just go after it. Just give it your all, and everyone will respect that, at least, even if you're bad.
All right. Well, then, if you did have a singing voice, what would be
I always think
your
about
song?
this. I always think that I would probably rap something. I'm not sure what.
Like old school or
it would be old school because now I can barely understand what rappers are saying these days. But I did have a coworker. This wasn't a player. There was a point in time in the locker room where we were making new employees, staff members, sing or choose a song to recite in front of the team as well.
Amazing.
And we had one staff member go for an Eminem song, which was it was a really, really bad choice. I mean, that's a tough one to tackle.
That's a decision.
Not even like in my kitchen dancing around when I tackle that. I would embarrass myself being alone.
I would have already lost myself.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter which Eminem song. You just know right away. Like, it's impossible. Why go after that one?
Like, does anyone not just do that one? Right. All right, we're going to shift gears for a moment, a little more serious. So, Black Players for Change, which is an incredible organization that was formed in a really difficult time for the world, but announced itself in what is still one of the most impactful things I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, I literally get chills just thinking about that moment with all of you on the pitch in the shirts, fist up, like just the image alone, but like the quiet and just that whole series of events that led up to that led to that moment. That, like I said, I reference it, I talk about it, I explain it to people. I'm talking about, because MLS is problematic on many levels, but also MLS is great on many levels. Like there's a lot of give and take with it, but obviously Black Players for Change needed to happen. And you guys have put in so much work and grown it so much. And, you see it on internet, on Instagram, you see it with players representation, you see it with the breadth of players that are involved, and MLS being involved, which to their credit, right? Like they immediately took you to their bosom, so to speak, and were like, we kind of have to do this.
Yeah, they got it.
But they got it, and it hasn't felt forced.
Yeah.
You know, some things from any large corporation feel forced, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's marketing because we have to. Sure, it's a good thing, but this has felt a little more genuine, especially as time has gone on. Do you feel that the work you guys have put in, because you're still on the executive director, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel that you've seen significant change in the last 3 years?
Yeah, I do. And I'll start with just the organization continuing to exist and being something that will pass down from generation to generation, because it's an organization that has a seat at the table at the highest levels of the league, with the teams, the network that we've built. It's just incredible to see, as you mentioned, how everyone has accepted it in Major League Soccer and really looks towards it for leadership, you know? And so I'm really proud of that. The guys are really proud that we've created this space that new players coming into the league can immediately latch onto and start to ask questions and understand and not feel silly about certain things, and can have a little bit of guidance in that area. But really, there's a strong relationship between Black Players for Change in Major League Soccer. You know, we do a lot of work, and a lot of it is behind the scenes, and that makes me proud and happy too, and makes me feel like there's progress, because not everything is performative, not everything is, as you mentioned, for the marketing. Like there is true hard work being done, and it's still being done. And so that's all you can ask for, you know, progress. I don't think this is a problem that we're going to solve in the next 5 to 10 years.
Wouldn't that be nice?
You know, I wish it was. It probably won't be a problem that I solve in my lifetime, but just to, you know, move things forward a little bit is the goal.
Yeah, moving forward is
we are doing that.
And I really like what you said sort of about like almost a mentorship to younger players, and creating that space and that ability for them to not feel outside when they come into the league, when they come into training, no matter what level, that they have not just players to go to, but they have a framework, a real support that is built into the league now. Do you have, like, is there anything sort of really specific going forward you guys are really focusing on, or is it just we have different branches of things and we all focus on different things?
Yeah, there's different branches. So I would really separate it by the work that we do with the league and then the work we do outside of the league.
Right.
And so everything that we've done in Major League Soccer has laddered up through their new EDI practice. So when we were first formed, that was one of the things that we asked for, that they form this EDI department. It wasn't something that existed in Major League Soccer before. They hired a chief EDI officer who sits on the executive team in Major League Soccer, reports directly to the commissioner. So it just shows how seriously they were taking this issue. And with him in his department now, I think he's got like 2 or 3 people underneath him. We work on policies, we work on programs. One of the things that we've done, which has been great, is around MLS All-Star. Every year we do an event called Hometown Heroes, where we really elevate people in the community that are doing incredible work. And we, you know, give them the flowers in so many different ways, donations, we give them advertisement around the building and everything like that, and support for their grassroots organizations. We also have a program towards the end of the year called MLS Advance, and this is something that we've kind of modeled after other sports leagues, but we just bring diverse candidates and we bring them around the chief soccer officers. Last year was in Miami, Fort Lauderdale for a couple of days, like November, December time. And it's just relationship building, which we know plays so much into hiring and all of this. Absolutely. And so that's something that we've started recently as well. So that is continuing to happen in Major League Soccer. And then outside, we're continuing our work with Black Women's Players Collective, Moscow Lighting, and U.S. Soccer Foundation to build these mini pitches.
Well, I was going to say, like I love seeing those announcements.
Incredible. And all of our partners are amazing, but really the special thing about that one is being partners with the women. Like they've taught us so much, and it's just such a fruitful relationship for us, empowering. And so we've done that in maybe like 12, 15 different cities now, and that work is continuing. So that one's really cool as well.
That's so great. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, I literally, I could talk to you about this for an hour, but
and I'm not the executive director anymore. I stepped down when I transitioned
into
from
this
being
role,
a player
of course.
and having this full role now, but I'm still very much involved. I'm on the advisory board and everything like that. And like I said, it's part of the legacy, right? And,
Absolutely.
And that's what we all care about.
Well, I think that's just one of the things that we appreciate about you as a person and a player was the fact that you were always very active. You were always pretty vocal. And that you jumped into this, wholeheartedly and have stayed really active and that sort of thing. And that's, to me, that's really important in modern sport or just in anything really. But when you work again within a large framework, to have that voice, to have that activism, and be able to influence is hugely important. And
it always helps from a player standpoint to know that the fans are behind you. Not everyone involved with DPC had that experience. There were certain teams, certain fan groups that had some pushback and everything, and I felt like Toronto fans got it.
Oh, we were.
You got it.
We were literally excited when it happened. No, that's something that I think you'll always get from the Toronto supporters and the Toronto fans. This is something we embraced for sure.
I have to ask because you're still a spry young man. How often does it cross your mind? You got one more game in me. How often does it happen? You can be honest. I don't have a contract, unfortunately. But how does it ever cross your mind? It's probably if you guys 100%. Need me. You ever said to Coach Bradley and go look, you just give me 2 weeks and I can be match ready. I can be a sub. How often do you think about that regularly?
I think about it all the time, but it's the more than one game that's a problem. I'm like, 1 game, 2 games, I'm good. But it's when we're into we're 10 matches into the season or into the rhythm, then I'm probably not so good anymore.
When I said emergency, I meant
I think that's one of the hardest things. Your mind always thinks that you can do it, but your body just can't keep up anymore.
That competitive mindset.
That was where I was at towards the end for sure.
I understand. So while
you go and then I have a plan. All right, so you know the question.
So why? So that being said, so with your career as is, this is kind of random, but those are my bags. Is there a player that you played against on the regular, and it doesn't matter, they don't have to be a name brand household player, just some dude that whenever he showed up on the starting 11, seemingly kind of had your number? You couldn't beat him, and it like you know what I mean, that one almost bad luck charm. It's just this guy, And you look at the starting 11. Was there any a player that it just got in your head? You clearly probably could school this guy 100 times, but it just got in your head. Was there anyone like that?
I mean, for me, I always say this: it was the duos that gave us a lot of trouble. So, when I think of Clint and Obafemi, and the way that they played off of each other, and it was a lot off the cuff, and they looked for each other. I imagine it would have been like playing Seva and Josie at their best. They just have such a good understanding of each other. Mm-hmm. Landon and Robbie Keane are two as well. It's they're always looking for each other, and then you throw David in the mix, who can play balls over distance. You never had a moment to take a break, and so. When you ask those questions, that's what comes to mind always for me. Those guys, that's scary lineup against those guys.
I was secretly hoping it was going to be that guy played for Kansas City for 12 games, and it was all against you. Really? No, that's okay. Okay, that's probably the more realistic response. 10 minutes. All right. Apparently, I'm important here.
So talking again about playing, you're fullback. When I played, I was right back.
Okay.
And which is probably one of the reasons
I played some right back too.
There you go. I cannot. Well, I worked on my left foot. I was 2-footed for a good chunk of my career. I just going down that wing, man, it just throws me off. Center, no problem. I'll play center back, and you can shove me up to the midfield.
Yeah.
But I like this side of the pitch. It makes me happy. When I played 1,000 years ago, because old. I was stay-home right back, and that was the game, right? And it suits my game. Yeah. I like stopping people. You're not allowed to come anywhere near this part of the pitch. I will hurt you and stop you. That's what I do. You play a much different game, and the game has also evolved where in modern fullback now, you almost have to have, that burst of speed in your wheelhouse, nice crosses, and apparently goal scorer, which was so much fun. Can we just say how much fun it was to watch you score goals? But
especially this one.
Again, my phone would blow up. Did you see that goal? Of course I saw that.
It's legit. It is so legit.
I'm not even kidding.
This isn't even the exaggerated part.
No, it's actually not. You're gonna just keep doing. Yeah, it's fine. We talked about this. I knew he was gonna do this. But what do you think about the evolution of the game? Do you think that's it now? If you're a fullback, you have to have that as part of your skill set, or is there still room for, depending on your manager, depending on the team you play for, to have a more, like I said, stay-at-home defender as opposed to these bombing runs down the side?
Yeah, I mean, I was always proud of the goals and proud of attacking 100%. But I felt like I did a good job and took a lot of responsibility in defending as well.
Oh, yeah.
And was a huge part of my mindset, And so when I think about the game, I don't think it always has to be attacking. I think that there's a lot of value in defenders that still want to defend. Like even in our academy now, which is, part of my role in player development, when I'm looking at our young players and I see a defender that likes to defend first, it excites me because you just don't see that very often anymore, because everyone wants a defender who can pass through lines and read the game and all these things. And those are, I agree, important. Those things are great, but defenders have to love to defend too. And I feel like I did a good job at that.
Well, we always talk about the fact that you were such a strong defender. So when the attacking side of your game started to develop more through your time here, it was kind of like, oh, what's happening here? It was fun though. It was does it all.
But that was also in the team setting, right?
Exactly.
The attacking for me came out as a team got better, and we had guys that can do different things and free up space for me to just be able to run. And I always talk about players coming up these days and understanding what their best qualities are. And I never hide from the fact that physicality is one for me, and I could run up and down the pitch nonstop. And that's what I did, and I trusted my teammates, and they were good enough to get the ball to me when they were getting triple teamed and quadruple teamed, and rightly so, and I'm like, all right, I'm over here.
My time to shine.
Exactly.
That's great. Yeah, I'm always curious. I like talking to players about their positions, but also especially when it's a position that I sort of know. And it's probably why I always all my favorite players tend to be defenders, goalkeepers, defensive midfielders. I like the people that score the goals. That's great. But I'm all about the people that are back here. So if you ask me who my favorite players are, they're almost always defenders.
This is true. Can confirm. So I want to harken back to September 30th of 2017. Right. There was this speedy winger named Justin Morrow who scored not once, not twice, but thrice. And you can correct me, first professional hat trick?
Of course.
Against the New York Energy drink. I want to leave it so that there was. He scored many. We'll see first. And we'll say only. I just want to thank you for that performance, because that earned you a spot on the Team of the Week, Week 3 in FIFA 18. And man, that guy was amazing. I killed guys all over the world with you. And I want to say thank you.
That.
Thank you so much for that performance. I mean, the goals were great. You looked amazing that night. But that, look at this. Take a look at this legend. Remember this legend? Remember this legend?
Yes.
78. Fast.
I love that.
I'm for the record, I'm showing him the stats from that FIFA 18 player, and if you don't know,
that's too bad.
Too long.
Memorable nights against Red Bulls. That's
right.
I mean, people always throw that at me, but it was one of a lot of memorable nights for me against Red Bull. Do you remember when we clinched for the first time?
Absolutely. That was
clinched MLS playoffs for the first time. Seba comes back from national team duty and dribbles by their whole team and scores an unbelievable goal. That was a special night. And 2017 playoffs.
I mean, watching Red Bull suffers
two.
Exactly.
We're up against it, and we got to find a way to win. We don't we don't win MLS Cup without getting through that game.
Oh, I know. That was wild. That was a wild
another time where we just came out on top of Red Bull.
Yeah. That always makes me smile. Yeah. It's easy to not like them. So that's. I don't have any other. I have no other questions. I know. We have you for 20 minutes, and the recording says we're going a little longer than that. So I don't.
The only thing before you go is just what do you, anything you want to tell our listeners, or just anything like you're really excited about for this coming year, whether it's for the first team, the academy team, from the off, like whatever it is that you're working on, that you're just like, you guys, you got to hear about this.
Yeah. I mean, it's my sophomore year of being off the field, and now that I have a year under my belt and understanding a little bit more about how the front office works, I'm looking forward to growing this relationship with the club and the community. You know, I'm having my hands and wrapping my hands a little bit more around that aspect of the role in the business. And I just want to make sure that our house is a welcoming house. And I feel it already is, but we can grow that. It's just a wonderful time coming to TFC games, and I want this club to really emulate that. I want us to be role models in that sense. So that's what I'm working for every day.
That's awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Like, you have no idea how much we appreciate this, other than the fact, again, that I'm a ridiculous fan. I keep saying.
Of course. Can't wait for the season to start, too.
Oh, no. So excited. This has been great.
All right. Well, it is almost the end of our show. We've got just a couple little things on what's coming up, because we're in that really weird, ongoing sort of nothing's quite happening part of all the seasons right now. Everybody is in off season, preseason, almost at a tournament, but not quite, almost off to play.
Chicken seasoning.
Well, exactly.
Montreal steak spice seasoning.
Shake and bake seasoning.
Like, I mean, it's a seasoning too. And I mean,
Dero hasn't come back yet for a while.
No.
I'm sure it's his turn. So
I want to start rumors, but the problem is that there's probably a great likelihood it'll happen. So I don't want to take away his thunder. So stay the course. Stay the course, you legend. Stay the course.
All right. So a player we've been talking about for a few weeks now is Sigurd Rosted, the Norwegian center back, which, we've been kind of excited about, is allegedly, according to all reports except for from TFC, an official Toronto FC player, or almost an official Toronto FC player. Hasn't quite finalized the personal terms, but his club, Brøndby, has bid him adieu. And there are interviews and articles saying, he's left. He's coming here. He's excited to, do the next thing, try his next challenge in MLS. So that'll get probably announced, I don't know, tomorrow or something. Day after recording, as per usual. The team is heading off to Coachella, which is still too freaking funny.
Oh, God.
The preseason tournament with a bunch of other MLS clubs. And you expect him to be with the club for that, because they leave very soon. It's I don't know, sometime the next couple of days, I think, actually. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we still don't know, we don't have a ton about him, but we've everyone's looked up his stats online, and on paper, he's a pretty freaking solid center back. And again, because this is something we were sort of getting a little concerned about as older players were getting signed, he's another younger player. He's 28. And that is a fantastic age for, a seasoned defender. A little salt and pepper, a little paprika, maybe. Ooh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's just open up the cabinet, find the good stuff.
What about some sumac? Oh, you know what? Some sumac. Sumac really, it's a underappreciated. Try some sumac in on your potatoes. Oh my God.
I put sumac on my central defenders. So, but I also lean into heavy the onion salt, because it's easy and it does the trick. Because sometimes I'm not fancy, and when I want my center backs, I don't want fancy.
You want comfort. You want comfort seasoning.
Yeah, but anyway.
So when we were talking earlier about this remaking of Toronto's defense, this is a big piece. So we'll have, from the sounds of it, Rosted and Hedges, off-brand cigarettes, as the central duo, and you've got, you know, MLS veteran, tons of. I just think it's on paper, it looks like it's going to be a really good matchup. So we anxiously await the official announcement and the picture of him holding up the kit. But should be soon from all reports.
Yeah. I mean, if Wikipedia is to be believed, he's already
Does it
signed.
already say it? Oh,
It said, I mean, it also says at the bottom of that like at the end of the 20, or sorry, there's a Toronto FC section, and it says on January 31st, Bromby announced that Rosted had left the club to sign for TFC. So it doesn't say that he's officially signed. It just says the club has said he's leaving to go there.
Gotcha.
So,
All right.
I mean, which is arguably one and the same, but here we are.
All right. Well, that will be excellent when the Wikipedia page can be updated then. The other thing we're going to just touch on very briefly, again, we're going to go into fuller detail next week as more of a preview, is the She Believes Cup, which is coming up very shortly. But the roster was announced today as a way to perhaps offset drama. Who knows?
Dare to dream.
Exactly. Dare to freaking dream. And one of the things about this squad is that a lot of players you would expect to be there are not. And that is mostly because this tournament is not quite part of the full international break. Actually, it's not an international break. But most, a good chunk of players are out of season. The ones from England, for the most part, will not be taking place in this tournament because they're all in season and also playing in like their FA Cup and everything. So no Sabrina D'Angelo, no Kadisha Buchanan, no Shalina Zadorsky, no Jessie Fleming, no Adriana Leon, and no Ashley Lawrence. So they won't be playing in this tournament. Also, Desiree Scott is injured, and Deanne Rose and Nichelle Prince are still recovering from injury, but the expectation is that they will be back for the World Cup in July, which is a huge, huge thing and will be good. Very good.
Yeah.
So instead, when you look at the roster, you're going to recognize most of the names because most of them are drawn from NWSL clubs because they're out of season. They're not, they're just starting preseason. And a couple clubs from some lower level European clubs or Sweden, which is also in an off season right now. And then just a few names you're probably not going to recognize that much. Younger players that haven't been in the squad that much. But honestly, for me, I think that's kind of a great thing for Bev to have as a problem or as a challenge ahead of the World Cup in the summer, but also the international break in April. So this is kind of great. She gets to really test some players, and the veterans that will be there, Christine Sinclair included, will really get a chance to put some stuff out there. Also, don't forget a number of really high performing players moved to NWSL recently. So Janine Becky, Jordan Heidema, who else recently shifted over there? No, Victoria Pickett was already there, I think. Bianca St. George. So there's lots of, and then we've got Vanessa Gilles and Clarissa Dorissi, who has been lighting it up for BK Hacken. She's been on a tear. She's been just phenomenal. So she's definitely one to watch in this tournament. Anyway, exciting things to come. We will discuss the matches and so on next week. But again, do tune into this because these are opportunities to watch this side compete against some top level teams. You know, it's a 4-team tournament. And there's a really good opportunity just to really see some good footy. And for the most part, well, not for the most part, you know, it's in a friendly time zone. So
oh yeah, that's take advantage of while the getting's good.
Because World Cup, man, oh god.
Yeah, I the one thing I do more to your point that you about the roster and who's available and who isn't. It's rare that you get a chance to field a side that is almost not an even mix, but it's you have your A players, but you're forced to get players that aren't on that A list, just like you said, because the schedule or the other domestic leagues where those players are playing, there's not a break. They can't be released. So like you can still put together a very competitive team, and it's not, you know what I mean? This isn't a B team feel. There's a lot of brand products in this grocery store. So this is a terrible analogy. I should never have said it.
No, I kind of like that. This is the good milk. Yeah,
exactly. There's the good milk, and then there's like, oh, I've never heard of this dairy before. I'll try it, you know? And I mean, it's a unique situation because like I said, usually if it's a B team, it's a fucking B team, and it's okay. That's okay. But like to be able to guarantee that, you know, someone's gonna play with Sophie Schmidt that has never played a competitive game with Sophie Schmidt before.
Exactly.
That's amazing. Like that's
which is great. Is great.
To me, that's a better letting of new talent than just obviously exhibitions and throwaway matches, or, you know, we're going to have a B team dotted with a couple of available veterans who just have, you know, the free 2 weeks. So this is I like this. It's not really a split, but like 30% of this roster is getting their first. I mean, I don't want to say, I'm sure they've all got caps, but like, no, you're going to be here for a whole tournament and not just some one-off game in. Yeah,
it's great experience. It's fantastic.
So yeah, that's what has me the most curious of this roster. So, yeah, this is definitely worth watching.
Huzzah! All right, well, lovely listeners, that is our show for this week. Please join us next week when we hopefully officially welcome Sigurd Rosted, preview the She Believes Cup, probably talk about Apple Plus and MLS.
You say
how
it
you
with
doing,
such
TFC
conviction.
fans?
Yeah.
How you doing? Yeah, everyone good? Okay, good. Any Android people out there? Anyway, so lots of things to discuss. Obviously, the Coachella tournament, which we're going to discuss Coachella stylings for the various players. So start thinking about, you know, headpieces and flowing shirt. I don't know. We'll think of something. Probably no glitter though. It gets everywhere. It's terrible. Anyway, we'll be back next week, most likely with a full complement of panelists. But maybe not. Maybe we'll just keep them locked in the closet. Who knows? So I have been joined by my delightful co-host, cohort, co-conspirator,
coconut.
No,
I don't know. All I can think of is co, and that was the first word that came in, and it doesn't make sense.
At Kit Nerd Mark with a K, not a Q, out there on the Twitters, Mr. Mark Hinckley.
Thank you to everybody who continues to support this show. We absolutely appreciate it. We still have shirts. Tony did a bunch, and they're on our Zazzle shop. You can find that link on our website at vocalminority.ca. And in the show notes, I'm going to link the FIFA team of the week thing. I literally turned the laptop to show Justin Morrow how awesome he was in the game, which is
it was so good.
I realized that is such a random, weird thing to do to somebody, but I couldn't resist it because as soon as I thought of like looking for cards to go get autographs or something like that, literally the first thing I thought was like, oh, I can't get him to sign a video game badge that was his card in the game, because once I got it, I was killing things, and that's legit. And also too, also link in the show notes. So as we were talking about Tosaint Ricketts and his career and all the lack of payments that has happened to that poor man, it was the club that he was with or one of the clubs that he was in Romania, Polytechnic Tears, I can't remember. Anyway, you'll see it. So that club had dissolved. So I guess there's some golden or silver lining, I should say, for the way he treated him. But there's a Phoenix club took its place, and there's this incredible purple and white hooped kit that they wear. So go check that out. I haven't even shown Kristin yet. Go check that out and tell me how much you love it on a scale of 10 to 10, because it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Actually, Chris, I'll send you the link shortly.
Okay, thank you.
But I'm like, oh, look at this son of a bitch. So yeah, there you go. And thank you, Kristin, for having me on here.
Oh, you're welcome. I love it when you join me. It's great. And as for me, yes, you can find me on the internet, the entire internet, at KZ Knowles. I have been your host, Kristin Knowles. And until next week, Canada, get used to it.